My name is Kevin Hendricks, and I like to read a lot. I used to read about 30 books per year, and then last year I read 137 books. So what happened? I fell in love with reading again. So let's talk about books. Last year, my favorite book was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It follows a video game geek in this virtual world trying to compete in an online contest started by this Steve Jobs, Bill Gates type character. It's full of video game references and dorky stuff, but it's accessible. My second favorite book last year was The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. It's about teens dying from cancer, and it's hilarious. I feel horrible saying that, but it's true. They're sarcastic and real. It's a great book. My favorite book this year is The Martian by Andy Weir. An astronaut gets stranded and left for dead on Mars. He has to turn his base into a potato farm so he can stay alive long enough to get rescued. It's a great book. Unfortunately, it was self-published and it got picked up for a major release, so it's not available right now. Another favorite is The Time Traveler's Wife. It's about a guy who bounces around through time. He meets his wife and they're both in their 20s, but she actually met him when she was 6 and he was 40. It's a love story about temporal displacement, but think less nerdy and more romance. So I just blew my first minute talking about books because that's what this is all about, falling in love with reading. Books so good that you just can't shut up about them. 137 books is a lot, but it's more about quality than quantity, because if you read quality books, then you'll want to read more. It's about loving to read, that feeling that a book that is so good you can't put it down. You stay up until 2 in the morning trying to finish. You spend your lunch hour being antisocial with a book. I work at home, so I do it every day. I wrote a book about it, 137 books in 1 year. It's short, so I can share the gist of it in the 3.5 minutes I have left. If you want to know more or you just want to geek out about reading, check it out. So tip number 1, take a book with you everywhere you go. Take it to the obvious places like the post office and the doctor and the bathroom. Take it to the not so obvious places like a movie theater or church, sorry mom, or the drive-up teller. Don't leave home without it. In fact, carry it around the house with you so you have it everywhere. Tip number 2, now that you have the book, read it. I don't have a comfy chair with a reading light where I sit and read my books. I read them in line. I read them while I'm waiting for the dog to poop. I read them during commercials. You need to reclaim idle time by reading. Number 3, read for you. You're not in school anymore, so you don't have to read something because someone says you have to. You don't have to like the classics. Genre shame is a waste of time. Read what you like. Number 4, if you don't like it, stop. You're not being tested. There's no obligation to finish a book. I'm the kind of person who wants to finish what I start, but you need to give yourself permission to put a bad book down and stop and just move on. Number 5, figure out your patterns. Whenever I read nonfiction, I slow down. When do I speed up? Edge of your seat action, sci-fi stuff, post-apocalyptic. Figure out what you love to read and read more of that. Number 6, track what you read. This is dorky, but it helps. The only way to figure out your patterns is to keep track of what you read. So start a Word doc or Evernote or Goodreads, whatever works, and track your readings. You'll be encouraged when you see how much you're actually getting read. Number 7, always have a next book. Momentum is important, so when you finish one book, you need to have the next book ready to go. Have it literally on hand. You don't want to wait for Amazon to send it or for the library to get it. I keep a stack of next books ready to go. Number 8, find books. There are millions of books out there, so you really have to hunt for the good ones. Keep a list of the books you want to read. Ask other people who have the same taste, and that's key. They have to have the same taste as you. And 9, share what you read. When you find a good book, share it. Make it easier for other people to find good books. Give it a review on Amazon or Goodreads, or just shout it from the rooftop. All the books I mentioned earlier were recommended by friends or my mortgage broker. 10, create a habit of reading. All of these tips are about developing a habit. You get bad habits by doing negative things over and over again. Likewise, you can create a habit of reading by reading good books over and over again until you crave them and you can't get enough of a good book. That's the sweet spot. And as a bonus tip, learn to use the library. I'm a cheapskate. I'm not going to buy 137 books. So I learned how to use the library. You can request books. You can always get what you want. You can request books from anywhere in the state. It's awesome. So that's it. Fall in love with reading. If you want to learn more, you can check out my book, but I kind of just told you what was in it. It's short, though, so it's a good way to pad your reading list. I'm on Twitter at Kevin Hendricks, and I'd love to talk books with you. Thanks.